Hey, how are you? Welcome to Shelf Improvement. I'm Cheryl. Thanks for being here. The one of you who is listening, feel free to like and subscribe if you want. No pressure. For some reason, I decided to start my channel when I'm getting over a cold. Yeah, I don't know either. So bear with me. We're going with it. Let's chat about books. I want to do the mid-year Freakout book tag, even though it's September almost and no one could have tagged me. Yes, starting off with a bang. I have a cold and I'm doing an old tag. All right, let's dive in. Question 1. What is the best book you've read so far this year? Sheesh, I'm fussy about books. You know that one neighbor you have or you hear about who is just they just bitch about every little thing. You know, probably give pennies out for Halloween. This is how I am with books. I am picky, stingy. I am stingy with the stars. That said, in spite of myself, I enjoyed several books this year, and I think my favorite is probably The Blacktongue Thief by Christopher Buehlman. It follows Kinch, and he owes a bunch of money to the Thieves Guild for his training, and he sort of takes on this job of following this one very badass woman, this handmaiden of death or something like that. And then as the story goes on, he discovers some sketchy stuff about the Thieves Guild. Well, I mean, they're a Thieves Guild, but sketchiness beyond that. Anyway, so they just go on to meet a bunch of wild characters, and a lot of stuff happens. Yes, okay, good, nice, good description. There's your synopsis. A bunch of stuff happens. So the characters were good. I had a lot of fun. I guess Christopher Buehlman has written a lot of horror books, so I might have to pick one of them up, even though I don't really pick up horror, because this was really excellent. I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend. Number 2, a new release you haven't read yet, but you want to get to. One I might not normally read, but I heard about it over on Katie Colson's channel. I really like her and her videos, even though we do not have the same taste in books in any way, shape, or form. But she was talking about Finley Donovan is Killing It. It's about a novelist who picks up a side gig as an assassin, as you do. So occasionally I need a little fluff in my life. This one sounds good. I've got a hold on it at the library, but I'm 134th in line or something. So I will not be reading that anytime soon. Next, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of this year? I don't really keep up with trends that much. One I am looking forward to a lot, though, is Joe Abercrombie's The Wisdom of Crowds. I read all the First Law books. I loved them so much. Well, Red Country I liked. I didn't love that one. But they were all so good. And then I read the first one in this new series. What's it? A Little Hatred. I haven't read the next one, so I need to get to that one before I read The Wisdom of Crowds. And then, I probably need to read A Little Hatred again, too. I don't know when I'll read them. I'm not great at finishing series. I have 15 series I need to finish, maybe more. Biggest book disappointment. Oof, I hate to say this. It's so unpopular, but The Wave Kings is my biggest book disappointment. Now, before you get your pitchfork out, hold up. I'm not saying it's a bad book. It's not bad. Brandon Sanderson does very many things right. His world building is amazing. His plots, the themes he explores, those are all great. Not to mention, I watch his YouTube channel. Seems like a lovely guy. Nothing personal. But reading Sanderson is like walking through a beautiful botanic garden and being swarmed by gnats. It's difficult for me to appreciate the beauty of what he does well because his writing is so freaking annoying to me. His dialogue is stiff, the way he characterizes emotion. I mean, his characters are getting better, like compared with, say, Elantris, The Way of Kings is much better, but still the way he describes what they're going through is like a soap opera or something. Just blah. None of it works. His prose is stilted. I mean, that's not to say that great writers can't have wooden writing. Hemingway is stilted, so maybe Sanderson is like Hemingway with more adverbs. Yes, I'm trying to appease the fans. Anyway, no one's watching this. Who cares? The reason I'm disappointed is because so many fans are able to immerse themselves in a way that I can't because his writing takes me out of the book. And that is very disappointing and frustrating because I would love to love his books. And I will continue to read them, but they're just not high on my list, and they will probably always have that disappointment factor because the prose is just really important to me. Most surprising book you've read this year? I was super surprised, I have to say, by The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. Sorry, Maggie, I don't know how to say your name. This book should not have worked as well as it did for me. First, it's YA. Sometimes YA and I don't get on, more often than not, actually. Second, I rarely read paranormal stuff. Third, there were some threadbare tropes in there. I mean, she did actually manage to freshen them up quite a bit, but this book had all the elements of a DNF for me. Hey, who can predict the strange alchemy that sways my taste in books? It's a mystery. Moving on. Favorite debut. I enjoyed a few debuts this year, which is kind of unusual because my picky self is usually picky about debuts. They tend to have the same problems, in my opinion. But a few that I really liked, Fireborn, The Bear and the Nightingale. One I haven't heard anyone talk about is Witch by Finbar Hawkins. I think that is because maybe it came out last year. I don't know if it was popular last year because I didn't really watch BookTube last year. But the characters, the voices he's written for the characters are so strong, and the writing is very rich, but also kind of spare. It's almost like poetry in some ways. But if you don't like poetry, don't let that put you off because I think you'd really like it. What am I saying? Yeah, I don't even know you. Maybe you wouldn't like it. But I liked it, and I will list it in the notes so you can see if you want to pick it up. Next, what is the book that made you cry? I don't really cry. Well, that's completely untrue. I don't want to cry. I don't like to cry because I'm not a fan of big feelings, but I do cry. If I can, I prefer to keep my feelings tightly jammed in my stomach next to my ulcer. I'm just kidding. In any case, The House in the Cerulean Sea was a really sweet book. And near the end, there are some very poignant moments. And I admit, I got a little teary. What's a book that made you happy? Oh, I really liked this one murder mystery I read called A Man with One of Those Faces by Quiva McDonald. It was so funny. I had a lot of fun with that one. I really like a lot of humor in my mysteries. I will list that one in the channel notes as well because, or the, description box, whatever. I never hear anybody talk about this, so it's excellent. If you are looking for a good murder mystery that's kind of cheeky, I really recommend it. So there are a lot of iterations of this tag with a bunch of different questions. Most beautiful book you've bought. I mostly go to the library. Newest crush. Listen, there's no new crush. It will always be and only be George Weasley. Or maybe Fred. I don't know. The one who didn't die. Anyway, there's a bunch of questions in this tag, but I think I will wrap it up with, oh, I like this one. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? So the reason I like this one is because even though I'm a mood reader, I started to tackle my TBR this year. Like at the beginning of the year, I looked over my TBR, and some books have been on there for like 6 years. So I eliminated all the books I'm probably never going to read. And then at the end, I had about 100 books left, and I decided that I would read all 100 this year. That's not a lot of books for a lot of people. That is an enormous amount of books for me. Usually I read like 40, maybe 50 in a really good year. But this year, so far, I have read 82. So go me. And throughout the year, I've been adding books to a new TBR. So I'll start that at the beginning of next year. Okay, I think that is going to do it for me. If you are looking for a readathon, we have one every month over at the Shelf Improvement Discord. I'll link it below along with any books or channels I mentioned. Thanks for letting me keep you company. Thanks for watching my first video. Hopefully the sound wasn't crap. I'll have to mess around with it. Anyway, goodbye.